Opening, calm confidence. Hey everyone, it's Alex here. If you've ever stood in the electronics aisle feeling torn between a cheap TV bar combo and a full-blown home theater setup, you know how easy it is to end up with a compromise that leaves you either with weak dialogue or a bass that feels more like a whisper. I spent a few evenings watching movies on the couch, testing a few gaming sessions, and listening to the same playlist on a rainy patio before I decided whether Samsung's new 3.0 channel Terrace outdoor soundbar actually deserves a spot in the living room or the garden shed. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation I saw in the community was the outdoor claim. When a soundbar markets itself as weather-resistant, you wonder if that means it's a rugged, garden party speaker or just a TV companion that can survive a splash. Samsung rates the LST70T with an IP55 rating, which basically says it can handle dust and water jets from any direction. In practice, that meant I could leave it on a balcony for a weekend barbecue and come back to a perfectly functional unit. No rust, no muffled sound, no frantic cleaning required. If you're looking for a system that can survive occasional rain or the occasional stray sprinkler, that's a genuine plus. If you expected a speaker that could be fully submerged or survive a hurricane, the rating is still modest, and you'd be wiser to keep it under a cover. Now, let's talk dialogue clarity. One of the most common complaints about budget soundbars is that you have to keep turning the volume up just to hear the actors. The Terrace uses Samsung's Q Symphony technology, which pairs the soundbar's three front drivers with a built-in subwoofer and essentially creates a miniature surround field. What that translates to in real-world use is that the mids are noticeably cleaner when I was watching a drama series with a lot of back-and-forth conversation. The words didn't get lost under the music, which is something I was skeptical about given the three-channel layout. In a typical living room size about 12 by 15 feet, the soundstage felt wider than I expected, and I could actually place my sofa a little farther from the TV without sacrificing speech intelligibility. Bass performance is the next practical concern. The built-in subwoofer is modest in size, but Samsung's adaptive sound light algorithm tailors the low-frequency output to the content you're watching. On a recent Marvel movie, the rumble from the explosions was present, but it wasn't the earth-shaking type you'd get from a dedicated external sub. If you're a movie night host who wants the room to vibrate during action scenes, you might still crave a separate subwoofer. For most TV shows, sports, and even a few video games, the just enough bass is actually a relief because it adds depth without overwhelming the neighbors. The Dolby Atmos label on a 3.1 system can feel like a marketing stretch, but let's look at how it behaves. The soundbar does not have upward-firing drivers, so it can't truly project height channels. What it does is synthesize a sense of height by processing the audio and directing it through the existing drivers. In a dimly lit home theater, that algorithm gave me a subtle sense of immersion when I watched a nature documentary. Bird calls seemed to drift above the screen rather than cling to the front. It's not a full-blown Atmos experience you'd get from a 5.1.2 system, but it's an improvement over plain stereo. If you're chasing a big cinema feel and you already own a decent AV receiver, you'll likely notice the limitation more. Connectivity was where my skepticism turned into appreciation. The LST70T features HDMI eARC, which means you can feed a single high-bandwidth audio signal from your TV without needing an extra optical cable. The setup was straightforward: plug the HDMI into the TV's eARC port, enable the setting in the TV menu, and you're golden. The sound lag was virtually nil, which is a critical factor for gamers. Speaking of gaming, the dedicated game mode reduces latency further and amplifies the mids, making directional cues in shooters clearer. I tried a fast-paced racing game, and the sound changes were instant enough that I could hear a tire squeal as soon as I hit the brakes, which helped my lap times improve by a few seconds. Bluetooth multi-connection is another practical feature. Samsung lets you pair two devices at once, so my phone and tablet could both stream music without needing to reconnect. The pairing process was a little finicky at first. I had to confirm the connection on the soundbar itself using the remote, and the remote's button layout can feel cramped. However, once paired, the audio remained stable even when I walked around the living room. That said, you'll still notice a slight compression compared to wired sources, which is typical of Bluetooth, but for casual playlists or podcasts it's perfectly acceptable. Now, Who should buy this and who should skip it? If you're a homeowner with a modestly sized living space,